On the news, 2 persons killed, 3 others injured as mining pit collapses in Ebonyi State. Court grants DSS request to shield witnesses in trial of suspects in Owo massacre. And following recent airline passenger altercations, NCAA mandates all phones be switched off during flight takeoff and landing. Glad to have you join us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Simisola Atiku. We begin with news from the Ajirija lead mining site now in Ihatutu community, Ishiago Ivo local government area of Ebonyi State, where a pit collapse has claimed 2 lives and left 3 miners in critical condition. The site, reportedly owned by one Henry Ahanautu, was said to have been parceled out and sublet to unlicensed petty miners operating without professional supervision. The spokesperson for the Ebonyi State Police Command, Joshua Ukandu, confirmed the incident. However, he said a report from the Ivo Police Division indicates that 5 persons were involved in the accident, contrary to the 6 reported by community members. Meanwhile, the state chairperson of the Federation of Women Miners, Sylvia Ogbunya, has expressed regret over the tragedy and extended condolences to the bereaved families. And the Federal High Court in Abuja has approved a request by the Department of State Services, DSS, to keep the identities of witnesses confidential in the trial of 5 alleged Al-Shabaab terrorists accused of the June 5, 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, which claimed the lives of over 40 worshippers. Justice Emeka Nwite granted the request on Tuesday, ruling on an ex parte application filed and argued by the DSS on the basis that the protection of witnesses is crucial due to the sensitive nature of terrorism cases and the potential risks the witnesses face. A bail application filed by the Defense Counsel was opposed by the DSS lawyer on the ground that the accused persons may escape justice. Justice Nwite also has adjourned till September 10 to deliver a ruling on the defense bail application.
You know, when you look at the nature of the offenses that the defendants have been accused of, these people have been accused of belonging to a foreign terrorist organization. Let's protect our country. First of all, we need to be Nigerians before we talk about rights. So when people go about being accused of killing over 40 people that went worshipping, you cannot just allow them to roam the streets. We need to protect our country. That is why we have said they shouldn't be granted bail, because we don't know the length that they may have access to. That's why we have just said no for now.
I've not been able to meet them until last date.
In the entire 3 years?
In the entire years. If I tell you what I went through in this matter, they told me they were in Kainji Dam. I had to travel to Kainji Dam. They were not there. They were kept here.
On another development, the Federal High Court in Lagos has convicted 3 more internet fraudsters arrested at a hotel within the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library Complex in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Delivering judgment on Monday, the judge Deinde Dipeolu convicted Adewale Adenekon, Oyatokun Damilola Kudus and Adisa Okikiade on cybercrime charges filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The commission accused the 3 defendants of committing offences contrary to Section 22(2)(b) of the Cybercrimes Prohibition Prevention (ETC) Act 2015. All 3 defendants pleaded guilty when the charges were read to them and handed their verdicts. In the aviation sector, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has announced a unified regulation mandating that all mobile phones and electronic devices must be completely switched off during the critical phases of flights, takeoff and landing. Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at the NCAA, Michael Achimugu, disclosed this on Tuesday on his official X handle following the case of Ibom Air passenger Comfort Emanson. According to him, the long-standing practice of allowing passengers to use devices in airplane mode during flight has been suspended pending further regulatory review in light of evolving technological development. He directed all airlines operating in Nigeria to update their security programs to reflect the new policy. Nigeria's Minister of Works, David Umahi, has dismissed criticisms surrounding the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, insisting that it is being executed with strict engineering standards and incorporates a comprehensive drainage system. Speaking during an inspection tour of the coastal road and some bridge projects earlier this week, Umahi explained that the peculiar terrain and soil conditions along the corridor have made construction more complex than in other regions of the country, requiring advanced technical solutions. TV360's Victoria Kode completes the report.
The minister's response follows his presentation to the Federal Executive Council on the condition of Lagos bridges and updates on the ongoing Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Umahi stated that his remarks had been misrepresented, sparking public speculation and ridicule from uninformed individuals. He firmly denied claims that the project lacks proper drainage infrastructure. According to the minister, the 750-kilometer highway project is the only one of its kind in the country, with an extensive drainage system totaling 1,500 kilometers. He assured that the entire Section 1 of the highway would be completed by January 2026.
When a project is ongoing, there are bound to be some damages in terms of this sand filling we are putting, in terms of the stone base. But the moment the pavement is put, you will not see any damage again. Even if there is any damage, cannot be on the concrete. It will just be on finished section of the work, just like the shoulders. People say, oh, there's no drainage. We have 750 kilometers of underground drainage by 2. Which is 1,500 kilometers of underground drainage. And you can see the pipes. You see it for yourselves.
We've gone through Section 1 and you've seen for yourself that work is on top speed there. We are now at Section 2. We see that the contractor has done quite a number of kilometers, about 10 one bound and about 4 the other bound, and work is still ongoing massively.
As you can see, work is progressing and the contractor is performing very well. On the carriageway, the left-hand side, we have done about 10 kilometers and work is still going on. And on the right-hand side carriageway, we have done 8 kilometers and we are still trying to close some of the gaps. Apart from this, drainage works are ongoing, both surface drains and subsurface drains. In terms of cross culverts, work is going on progressively.
Regarding the controversy over reports of trillions of naira being allocated for repairs on the 3rd Mainland and Carter bridges, Minister David Umahi clarified that the federal government has not approved any specific budget for their repair or reconstruction. Concerns arose after reports suggested that approximately 3.8 trillion naira had been earmarked for the projects. However, Umahi emphasized that assessments dating back to 2013 revealed both bridges experiencing structural degradation caused by chlorination, rusting piles, sand mining, and ocean scoring.
The sickness of Carter Bridge, the same sickness of Third Mainland Bridge. So we did a pro rata. And we said to Federal Executive Council, listen, this is what, Beja is saying. But we don't trust these figures because one man cannot give you an estimate. So give us approval so that we can invite a minimum of 7, contractors globally to come and, do their own investigation, their own design, and their own bid, whether it is for rehabilitation or it's for construction. So no approval has been given for any of them. We needed approval from the Federal Executive Council for constructive engagement. We don't just invite people and then it becomes, an academic exercise. We want to, the federal executive to say, listen, whatever is the findings, we are ready. But it's not going to be one man's, show. It's going to be a comparison of a number of experts globally. And then beside this, we also got approval to invite private sector to also quote to own these bridges. Whether it is for rehabilitation, they will toll it. Whether it is for new bridges, they will toll it.
Umahi gave the assurance that monitoring and maintenance would continue on the bridge to avoid further deterioration. He further reiterated the federal government's commitment to ensuring public safety on all federal bridges. Victoria Akonde, TV360 News, Lagos.
A switch now to education. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has disclosed that the results of 6,458 candidates from the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) are under investigation over alleged involvement in technology-driven malpractice. JAMB Registrar Ishaq Oloyede made this known on Monday in Abuja during the inauguration of a 23-member Special Committee on Examination Infraction, where he lamented the growing sophistication of examination fraud. According to him, cases under scrutiny include biometric and identity fraud perpetrated by some accredited computer-based test CBT centers and candidates. He warned cheating has gone far beyond traditional methods, calling for stronger measures to tackle the evolving trend. In his remarks, Chairman of the committee, Jake Epele, assured that members will carry out the task with fairness and integrity.
Determine the culpability or otherwise of each of the 6,458 suspected candidates whose results, excluding the albinism group, are still being withheld. 6,458. Recommend appropriate disciplinary actions or sanction against individuals or groups found culpable. Propose a proactive framework for the detection, deterrence, and prevention of technologically enabled examination fraud in future exercises. Consider and advise on any issue incidental or related to these issues. Submit a report not later than 3 weeks after the inauguration of the committee. The establishment of this special committee on examination infraction reflects the board's unwavering commitment to upholding the integrity and credibility of its examination system. With a clear mandate and carefully selected composition, the committee is expected to conduct a thorough investigation and deliver actionable, sustainable recommendations. This will not only address current threats, but also help in future-proofing the examination process against emerging forms of malpractice and technological abuse.
Examination malpractice is not just a breach of rules. It is a direct assault on integrity, merit, and the future of our nation's youth. The task before us is therefore a sacred one. I believe that everyone in this committee, you don't have a committee job. You have a call from God Almighty to defend the credibility of our examinations, restore public confidence, and ensure that diligence and honesty remains the true pathway to opportunity.
Let's head to Borno State. As the world marks Humanitarian Day, displaced persons and repentant insurgents in the state have expressed gratitude to both government and donor agencies for the humanitarian support extended to them, while appealing for continued assistance. This was revealed during a visit to the Hajj camp in Maiduguri, where internally displaced persons and repentant insurgents shared their experiences on the extent and impact of humanitarian interventions in the state. Our correspondent Solomon Josiah completes the report.
Borno State has long been at the center of insurgency, with years of violence attack crippling development across communities. Yet, the government and its partner continue to prioritize rehabilitation, resettlement and reintegration efforts. At the Hajj camp, Displaced families and repentant terrorists who voluntarily surrendered are being supported with livelihood skills and rehabilitation programs aimed at empowering them economically and discouraging the return to violence. Aisha Umar and Aisha Usman, both victims of insurgency, now support their families using skills acquired through humanitarian programs, gaining a steady income and renewed sense of stability.
I was once held captive in a terrorist camp, living in fear and without hope. When I surrendered and returned to town, the government welcomed me back and gave me a chance to start afresh. They trained me in cap weaving, and today each cap I sew earns me 6,000 to 7,000 naira. With this, I am able to feed my children and rebuild the life that insurgency tried to take away from me.
After leaving the forest, I thought my life was over because I had no means of survival. But the government and donor partners trained me in tailoring. And today, I can make clothes and earn between 2,000 and 4,000 naira each day. For me, this is more than just income. It is a chance to live with pride, to be independent, and to provide for myself without any fear.
Another success story is that of Nuhu Amadu, a former insurgent who voluntarily surrendered. He now operates a barber shop and says support from donor partners has been instrumental in rebuilding his life.
When I came back from the forest, I had no skills and no idea how to survive. But with the support of the government and humanitarian partners, I was trained in barbing. Now I run a small barbing salon where I earn between 8,000 and 10,000 naira daily. This work has restored my dignity and given me hope for the future.
Despite these encouraging successes, donor agencies have raised concern about the sustainability of ongoing programs. UNICEF's chief of the Maiduguri field office highlighted the troubling 67% funding gap across critical sectors.
This will impact how many children are we going to reach for nutrition services? How many children are we going to reach for health services? How many mothers are we going to support during childbirth? How many out-of-school children we are able to support by buying teaching learning materials for them or supporting teachers' incentives for those who are teaching these children. So our target for 2025 will be affected in various ways across all the program areas.
As Borno State continues its path towards recovery, stakeholders are urging increased global support to safeguard the progress made in rebuilding lives and community. Solomon Josiah, TV360, Borno.
It's time for a short break. When news now returns, Sudan Army Chief Burhan appoints new senior officers in reshuffle and tightens control. Stay with us for details. Thank you for staying with News Now. Let's give you a recap of our top stories. A pit collapse at the Adrija lead mining site in Ihatutu community, Isiagu Ivo local government area of Ebonyi State, has claimed 2 lives and left 3 miners in critical condition. The spokesman for the Ebonyi State Police Command, Joshua Ukandu, confirmed the incident. However, he said a report from the Ivo Police Division indicates that 5 persons were involved in the accident, contrary to the 6 reported by community members. We also informed you that the Federal High Court in Abuja has approved a request by the Department of State Services to keep the identities of witnesses confidential in the trial of 5 alleged Al-Shabaab terrorists accused of the June 5, 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, which claimed the lives of over 40 worshippers. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on X, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the GoTo app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Let's join Victoria Akonde for more stories in the world of business. What's the latest, Victoria?
Thank you very much, Simi. Welcome to Business News. Now, Nigeria is gearing up to host global gas investors, energy policymakers, and industry leaders this October as preparations intensify for the 2025 Gas Investment Forum, a key event driving the nation's gas industrialization agenda. The two-day forum will take place in Lagos from October 7th to 8th with President Bola Tinubu's Special Advisor on Energy, Oluwaseun, expected to deliver the keynote address and serve as chief host. According to the event director, the 2025 edition will provide an unparalleled platform for collaboration between policymakers, regulators, and private sector players to advance Nigeria's decade of gas policy. Still on business, the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RMAFC, has initiated a fresh review of Nigeria's revenue allocation formula to align with recent constitutional amendments that grant greater powers and responsibility to states and local governments. Speaking to journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, RMFCA Chairman Muhammadu Bello explained that the reforms have transferred key functions, including electricity, railways, and correctional services, from the federal government to subnational authorities. Shehu emphasized that this shift has increased financial and administrative burdens on states and local governments, highlighting the need to revise the current revenue sharing framework.
This review would be inclusive, data-driven, and transparent. It will involve broad-based consultations with critical stakeholders, including the Presidency, National Assembly, state governors, ALGON, the judiciary, MDAs, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, the organized private sector, and development partners. The Commission is also committed to integrating cutting-edge research, empirical data, and international best practices in its analysis. We invite the cooperation of the media and all Nigerians in this patriotic exercise, for which your support is critical in building public trust, ensuring accountability, and keeping the public informed. I also need to reiterate, with the new act of the Commission, which was recently signed by Mr. President in April, has granted the Commission some financial autonomy independence like we have never had it before.
Right now, we would go on a short break and be back with stock market updates. Welcome back. It's the second trading day of the week and the Nigerian equities market reversed Monday's gains to close in negative territory, down by 1.46%. The market capitalization now stands at 90.24 trillion naira. In total, 129 equities traded on the NGX with 26 gainers and 39 losers. Royal Exchange led the laggards with a 10% decline to 2 naira 52 kobo per share, and was followed closely by Dangote Cement. Now, more than 1 billion shares were exchanged in 34,399 deals valued at over 17 billion naira. And now, when this is compared to Monday's session, the volume fell by 2%, turnover improved by 17%, while deals dropped by 10%. Now, switching gears to the global front, the US Dow Jones and the UK's FTSE closed in positive territory, while their counterparts, the Japan's Nikkei, closed in the negative territory, as you can see on the chart. Now, on the forex market, the naira traded at 1,545 naira to the US dollar, while the pound at 2,100 naira and to the euro at 1,790 naira, to remain under pressure across boards. That wraps up both business and stock market updates. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Sudan's Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has carried out a sweeping reshuffle of senior officers, tightening his grip on the military as he consolidates control over central and eastern regions while fierce battles rage in the west. General al-Burhan announced new appointments to the Joint Chiefs of Staff just a day after retiring several long-serving commanders, some of whom had risen to prominence during the war. The army, which holds power in Khartoum, has been locked in a civil war for more than 2 years against the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, its former partners in government, a conflict that has spiraled into the world's largest humanitarian crisis. And in Pakistan, grieving families are searching remote mountain villages for loved ones after flash floods over the weekend claimed at least 277 lives. Northern Pakistan's sweep river-carved valleys, already vulnerable to extreme weather, have become increasingly exposed as climate change drives sudden intense rainfall. The disaster has sparked outrage over the absence of evacuation warnings, with one official controversially stating that residents should have built homes elsewhere. On sports, Bayelsa State has formally declared its bid to host the 2028 National Sports Festival, positioning itself as a future hub for Nigeria's premier multi-sport event. The announcement was made on Monday by the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olopade, during a visit to Yenagoa, where he inspected facilities and held talks with key stakeholders. Olopade was joined by Nigeria Wrestling Federation President and Bayelsa Sports Commissioner Daniel Igali, with discussions focused on the state's readiness and long-term sporting vision. And former football star Wayne Rooney has advocated tougher sanctions for racist abuse like point deductions or hefty fines to combat racism in football. Last week saw two major incidents with Antoine Semenyo of Bournemouth, now allegedly racially abused by a spectator in the crowd during their 4-2 loss at Liverpool, and Tottenham forward Marty Tail receiving abuse online for a missed penalty in their Super Cup defeat to Paris Saint-Germain. Speaking on his new BBC podcast on Tuesday, Rooney passionately called for robust anti-racism education campaigns to confront ignorance across generations and stricter punishments for clubs to deter future incidents. Well, that's it on News Now. Thank you very much for staying with us. We'll see you again next time.